Of the world, marketing as a foreign language, coming to you live 10:30 a.m. Monday through Friday. Let's get the game going. New report finds Facebook is a major facilitator of health misinformation. How are they misinforming the public? Oracle emerges as another potential buyer for TikTok. So we've got Microsoft, Oracle, and perhaps a handful of others interested in purchasing the tech giant. Instagram rolls out suggested posts at the end of your following feed to all users. Twitter launching new transparency center to better highlight actions taken. Instagram replacing name tag codes with QR codes to help quickly connect users. And last but not least, Facebook adds new resources to support Black-owned businesses. This is Marketing as a Foreign Language, and it begins right now. If you are joining us on Facebook and or YouTube after the fact and are interested in checking out the live show where you can leave a comment above my head, ask questions, and engage with the show, just know to swing by the YouTube channel, type in Send It Rising or Send It Rising Internet Marketing, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and boom, you will be informed. You can also like us on our Send It Rising business Facebook page and see the live show there as well. We look forward to seeing your comments. If you are watching the show live now, by all means, please do leave a comment. I love seeing your comments and engaging with you. New report finds Facebook is a major facilitator of health misinformation. Here's a case of serendipitous timing. This is from Social Media Today. This week, as Facebook was being praised for its efforts to stop the spread of new anti-vax promotional videos, which aimed to highlight COVID-19 conspiracy theories, a new report was released which showed that Facebook has facilitated the spread of a wide range of health misinformation and likely contributed to the COVID-19 death toll as a result. These are strong accusations levied against the tech giant. According to an investigation conducted by human rights group Avaze, Facebook pages spreading health misinformation saw a cumulative 3.8 billion with the B views in the first 5 months of 2020. As per the report, quote, health misinformation is a global public health threat. Studies have shown that anti-vaccination communities prosper on Facebook, that the social media platform acts as a vector for conspiracy beliefs that are hindering people from protecting themselves during the COVID-19 outbreak, and that bogus health cures thrive on the social media platform, i.e. drinking bleach. I recommend against it. The Avaze team used publicly available Facebook data to track the views of the Facebook pages of 82 health misinformation spreading websites on the platform between May 28th, 2019 and May 27th, 2020, year over year in May. The data shows that interest in these sites peaked in April as the pandemic spread throughout the world. So here we've got 400 million Facebook estimated views in April of 2020, spiking from approximately 260,000. It has reduced since, which may be attributable to Facebook's expanding efforts to combat COVID-19 misinformation. But even more concerning is the amount of views these pages have seen in variance to those of official health bodies. The Avaze report once again highlights concerns about the role Facebook plays in spreading dangerous misinformation. So, listeners, what do you think? Do you think Facebook is in charge of whether or not they should shut down this information? Is it their job to delete what they believe to be harmful misinformation? Leave a comment, engage in chat. which is even more significant when you also factor in that the majority of Americans now get at least some of their news content from social media, with Facebook being the leading source. And that's only likely to increase. Obviously, the pandemic has forced the closure of a range of regional and local news publications. We recently did a piece on Australia fighting against Facebook, looking to get a piece of the pie, trying to get their news publishers paid some of the revenue that Facebook is receiving. We'll see how that legislation goes in Australia. Given Facebook's scale and reach, the fact that it provides a platform for these fringe beliefs and movements is a significant concern and should be investigated. How exactly the situation can be rectified is difficult to say, especially given that Facebook would prefer to lean on the side of free speech in order to maximize user engagement. Facebook wants to make money, right? At the end of the day. If Zuckerberg has to testify in front of Congress and they get a bunch of bad PR, they would make the case that, well, we definitely need to side on with public opinion on whatever that happens to be. The Twitter voices are often the most loud. Do they represent the whole of the United States or the world? Of course they do not. So the question for me is, to what extent should Facebook be policing the internet? Now, if someone is saying, yes, drink bleach, which obviously don't do that, on a Facebook page and it's getting a lot of likes and shares, I think that's a fairly easy and obvious response, which is to say you slap a whole bunch of labels on it saying this is ridiculous, and or you simply delete that kind of information from the site. The slippery slope on free speech is real. Does Facebook deserve to be able to silence our voices? And let's say they're wrong, right? Let's say there's a drug that there's a wide consensus in the moment doesn't have an effect, but in the future it turns out it actually did, and they silenced them. What are the ramifications for Facebook? Quote, a study in the American Journal of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene last week found that around the world, at least 800 people have died and 5,800 have been admitted to hospital as a result of coronavirus misinformation in the first 3 months of 2020. Many of them drinking methanol or cleaning products that they believed could cure COVID-19. So this is not harmless banter. There are real world consequences stemming from such movements. So there you have it. I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Oracle emerges as another potential buyer for TikTok. So Oracle, I believe, is an American-based company. So we've got Microsoft and Oracle looking at TikTok. A new suitor has emerged in the race to buy U.S. operations of TikTok, which, with cloud computing giant Oracle reportedly joining a group of investment firms in formulating an offer for the app. As reported by CNBC, Oracle's talks to acquire TikTok's operations in 4 countries are ongoing and have accelerated in recent days, the person said, and it and Microsoft are far ahead of any other companies that have expressed interest. Thank you to everyone who has hit the like button. Much appreciated. Those 4 countries would be the US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, which, if TikTok is to be cut up and sold off, are believed to be one package of nations that would be separated from the rest, which would be a difficult split, leading to various versions of the app operating under different rules and processes. This is the reality of social media. If you have a multi-billion-dollar company, I don't feel bad for you that you have to change things up for the different countries that you operate in. And no doubt TikTok's current owner, ByteDance, would prefer to keep the whole platform as one package. Yeah, we get it, but too bad. But the asking price could be steep, with some reports suggesting that TikTok could be valued at around $30 billion. That price range puts TikTok out of the reach of all but a very few of the tech giants, though it would lower if TikTok is eventually split into regional elements. But at $30 billion, it's really only Microsoft that could afford it and has thus far shown a willingness to make a bid. Oracle brought in $39.5 billion in revenue in 2019, but its revenue did decline in the most recent quarter. But then again, Oracle isn't acting alone here. As reported by the Wall Street Journal last week, several investment firms, including Sequoia Capital and General Atlantic are looking to formulate group bids to buy the app. Oracle appears to be one of the firms that's been recruited into these pitches. So we've got multiple folks looking to potentially buy the gigantic TikTok. Is it Vine? Is it just Vine 2.0? So TikTok has suggested the company could still take legal action against the U.S. government's executive order. We've covered this. And if TikTok can win a stay of execution for long enough until the election, the whole situation could look different. So next few months are going to be real interesting for our good friend TikTok. Instagram rolls out suggested posts at the end of your following feed to all users. After testing out different variations of the option, Instagram has now officially added a new listing of suggested posts, much like YouTube does at the end of your main feed, for whenever you scroll through all of your latest updates from people and profiles that you're following. They're obviously trying to get you to stay on the app. As you can see here, the new suggested feed flows on from the You're All Caught Up notification, which Instagram added back in 2018. Why would they do that? They obviously want you to stick around. That notification aligned with Facebook's time well spent approach, which focused on ensuring that users were aware of how they were spending their time in the app, with the notification serving as a prompt that you don't need to keep scrolling and you've caught up with the latest. But if you do want to keep scrolling, now you can. Well, imagine that. I think the gentleman who created the infinite scroll laments that fact. He's looking at the whole world staring at their phone and has a certain amount of regret. Quote, our goal is to make it clear when you're all caught up so you can decide how you want to best use your time. We see people continuing to seek out more posts they're interested in after catching up with their feed. We want people to spend more time on the app and make more money. This is not shocking. Instagram doesn't appear to have gone with this version. Let's see. As noted, Instagram has been testing versions of the option over the last couple of years, which includes a new variant spotted back in June that splits the feed into two suggested and older posts. All right, boring. Twitter launches new transparency center to better highlight actions taken. Twitter's looking to provide more insight into the action it's taken on rule violations. Okay, so they're policing. They've been policing since the beginning, and now they are trying to be more transparent about said information policing. Information requests, coordinated misinformation campaigns, and more via an updated Transparency Center mini site. Oh, good. A Transparency Center mini site. Nothing says fun like a Transparency Center mini site. Okay, Twitter is committed to the open exchange of information, apparently. Bunch of blah, blah, blah. A lot has changed since 2012. It's now more important than ever that we also shine a light on our own practices, including enforcement of the Twitter rules on our ongoing work to disrupt global state-backed information operations. Hoy, yoy, yoy. This is from Twitter. The public and policymakers want to be better informed about our actions, and we recognize these calls for greater transparency. That is why our original report has evolved into a more comprehensive Twitter Transparency Center covering a broader array of our transparency efforts. Okay. So, okay. I'll look at your weird report. First published in July 2nd of 2012, our biannual Twitter Transparency Report highlights data trends and blah, blah, blah. Hi, look at this. This is like Lawyer Central. Lawyer Central. Let's look at this malicious automation and spam report. Platform manipulation. Okay. Spam report, 4.7 million. Anti-spam challenges, 88 million. Overview. Platform manipulation refers to the unauthorized use of Twitter to mislead others and disrupt their experience by engaging in bulk, aggressive, or deceptive activity. This prohibited activity includes, but is not limited to, spam, malicious automation, which is use of bots, inauthentic account abuse, fake accounts. This report reflects both the volume of anti-spam challenges issued to Twitter accounts each month and the number of reports of spam submitted by people. Oh my. Some notable changes: anti-spam challenges down 9%, spam reports up 52%. Big picture, commercial spam, persistent, often automated content which puts uninvited information in front of you. The spammer tries to get you to do something you wouldn't otherwise do, such as click a link, buy something, or give up personal information. artificial amplification, actions to make an account or concept seem more popular or controversial than it actually is, through inauthentic engagement, followers, mentions, likes, or retweets, coordinated activity efforts to artificially influence conversations through the use of multiple and or fake accounts. I mean, can you imagine how many people get away with this? You know, you do a post, you get 600 likes on it, you get all these fake bots commenting on it, and it looks legit. It just looks legit. Oh, I feel bad for Twitter. Ridiculous. All right, as explained by Twitter, quote, in 2020, it's more important than ever that we shine a light on our own practices. We just read that. The new platform provides access to more specific elements of Twitter's transparency report. So, yeah, if you're an attorney or if you're an economist and you're just interested in the way that folks are trying to manipulate Twitter, then, you know, this is some interesting data here. So Twitter saw a 47% increase in actions taken against rule-violating accounts. All right, we get it. We understand it. Instagram replaces name tag codes with QR codes. I hate QR codes. I was at a restaurant the other day, and they're like, just scan this QR code. I'm like, you can give me a QR code, but also give me a website that I can just go to. You know what I mean? Give me a URL and give me a QR code. Because sometimes getting the QR code to scan or work properly takes longer than just typing in the name of the URL. You know what I mean? So restaurants, this is a public service announcement. If you're going to QR code, also just give us a URL. nameofrestaurant.com/menu. Cool, we're good. Andrew writes, yes, I know. No one seems to care too much about QR codes as a quick connection option on social platforms. And I realize that. Despite every social app releasing its own QR code tool, they still don't seem to be gaining momentum. Thank you very much. I couldn't agree more, but that's not true for all regions. And this week, Instagram has launched new QR codes for its profiles, which will provide another quick scan option to help users connect with people and businesses through the app. I don't know. I'm just not a big QR code guy. Instagram already has QR codes, right? Not exactly. Back in 2018, Instagram launched what it called name tag codes, which were essentially QR codes for profiles, though a slightly different variation. Name tag codes, as you can see, were designed to be highly visual and engaging in order to encourage usage, but evidently they didn't catch on. Shocker. And now Instagram is replacing name tag codes with QR codes instead. Why? The limitation of name tag codes was that they could only be scanned via the, boring. Don't like QR codes. Facebook adds new resources to support Black-owned businesses. Facebook has announced some new resources to better support and assist Black-owned businesses as part of the company's broader effort to address racial inequality in the U.S. Google My Business recently offered an option to state that you are a Black-owned business similar to veteran-owned or woman-owned business. Black-owned businesses, according to Facebook, have faced systemic barriers for generations, and the huge amount of interest we received from these businesses has confirmed just how enormous the challenges they continue to face really are. That is why we double down on investing in and building tools to help this community. This is obviously good PR for Facebook to do this, and I would argue good in general. The main addition is a new option for businesses to identify their page as a Black or minority-owned business and on Facebook, similar to what Google has done. Quote, so anyone who wants to support them can do so easily. As I mentioned before, there was a documentary with Killer Mike who attempted to purchase only from Black-owned businesses for a certain period of time. I forgot what it was, a week, a month, and he struggled. It was very difficult to identify, find, and shop at these businesses. So I get it. As you can see here, the new listings will be displayed in the businesses nearby listings in Facebook, providing more ways for users to support the Black community. Quote, diverse business categories will be associated with business pages, not people, and self-designation is completely voluntary. Page admins can choose to skip. Obviously, this makes sense. Okay, let's swing on by search engine land here. Search engine land. Oh, and let's do a Pinterest stock. Let's take a look at Pinterest stock. I can't help but look at the Pinterest stock. How you doing, Pinterest stock? Ah, it's glorious. Ah, glorious Pinterest. Search engine land. Okay, what's going on in the world of search today? Bing uses user engagement metrics for ranking websites in search. Really? Okay. Ecommerce Explodes 45% growth in Q2. All right, these are two good ones. All righty, search engine land. Bing uses user engagement. I've been talking about user engagement forever. Google for some reason, and their many lists of what ranks and what doesn't and why, often says that they don't use engagement metrics, which I think is ridiculous. They say it's too easily spammable, but I think that if someone stays on a website for 30 minutes and someone stays on a website for 2 minutes, that they're using that data to determine rankings. That makes sense to me. So, but Bing looks at these signals in a holistic manner. Okay. So Bing documented its search ranking factors at a very high level not too long ago. One of those signals I found interesting, this is Barry Schwartz with Search Engine Land, writes, the user engagement metrics, including click-throughs, pogo sticking, that's bouncing in and out of a website, clicking on different results, changing the query, and more. So he interviewed Microsoft's Christy Olson. So user engagement metrics are often useful signals. Fabrice Canal, principal program manager at Bing Microsoft, said, we do what is best for the customer. If we found that this is very useful data and we believe it is useful data for the ranker, why not use the data? What's preventing this? People are searching, providing insights on what they're searching for. We do believe that this is useful data that is helping us to help them retrieve the best content. I couldn't agree more. User engagements on a website is a big deal. So Barry writes, I specifically confirmed again if Bing uses this as a direct ranking signal that is fed directly into Bing's ranker. Fabrice said, yes, it is correct to say that. He did warn about 2 caveats, that the machine learning is changing on a daily basis and intent plays a role in this. So if you search for Facebook and the user engagement metrics for Facebook.com are not great, Bing still will serve Facebook.com because that is what the users intend to see. Okay, we get it. And e-commerce exploding, 45% growth in Q2. While many retailers flounder, some omni-channel merchants are killing it online. Greg Sterling writes, years of economic growth have been wiped out by COVID-19. However, the story for e-commerce has been the opposite, an acceleration of growth that otherwise might have taken years. The U.S. Commerce Department reported new retail sales data earlier this week. It shows a huge spike in second quarter e-commerce spending as a percentage of total retail, growing from 11.8 in Q1 to 16.1 in Q2. Some analysts and outlets exclude categories such as restaurants, bars, automobile dealers, and gas stations to tell a stronger growth story. Using that formula, which is a bit of a cheat, e-commerce is now closer to 21%. So the U.S. retail economy is in a state of a very uneven recovery, if we can even call it that. There are regional differences and variable outcomes by retailer, with many in bankruptcy. Others, such as Walmart, Home Depot, and Target, are booming. Walmart's second quarter earnings, for example, beat expectations. The company posted 97% year-over-year e-commerce sales growth. So, somebody's got to compete with Amazon, right? I guess, at least in our house, Walmart is for like toilet paper and Amazon's for toys. You know what I mean? Like, there's a difference. Target's numbers were even better. The company reported Q2 results today, including 195% year-over-year e-commerce sales growth, 10 million new online shoppers in the first half of 2020, 700% growth in curbside pickup. Oh me, oh my. The e-commerce and local shopping are not mutually exclusive, blah, blah, blah. Why do we care? Well, we care because the growth of e-commerce affects all of us. Now I have to look up Target stock. Target stock. Does it go up? Oh my goodness, look at that. I wonder if that's on news of the e-commerce sales. Big jump for Target. Way up for the year. Look at that. Wow. $92 on April 3rd, up to $152 now. Walmart stock sitting at $130. Yep. Up we go. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for swinging on by the show. We do appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed on the YouTube channel, please do consider it. Hit that notification bell so you can know when I'm live. When am I live? You guessed it, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every single day. Would love to see your comments. That's my favorite part. When we get those comments, we obviously show them right here above my head. Ba-boom. So that we can interact and that sort of thing. Anyway, thanks for swinging on by. I'll be back tomorrow. And this week, we're going to Mount Charleston. Very exciting stuff. All right, see y'all tomorrow. Bye-bye.